Hey everybody, it's Steve. How's it going? That's my my Meta glasses. They look really dorky, but I bought two pair of them, and they're useful in a truck to do hands free talking. I always see truck drivers with those big old headsets, and they got the earpiece. They kind of look cool, I guess. But the Meta glasses, in my opinion, are better because they're hands free talking, and you can't touch a microphone. I don't even know really how they get away with the CB. I don't know if truckers even do that anymore, to be honest. Most of the trucks I've seen don't even have CBs anymore because of cell phones and things. But anyway, the Meta glasses are good for hands free talking, communication, and stuff. Somebody can call in, and I can just say, "Hey, Meta, answer the phone," and if it's something stupid, I can say, "Hey, Meta, hang up." And people text, and Meta reads it to me. It comes in a variety of voices, and I have chosen Kristen Bell. And my wife heard that one. She said, "Why do you have Kristen Bell talking to you?" And I said, "It's because of the pitch of her voice," and it is true. I'm not lying. And yeah, by the way, I decided to start turning the camera. I just use my phone. Nothing's fancy. Just my. I mean, I have a really good phone. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the latest of the Samsungs. But anyway, I'm going to end up just using my phone pretty much for all these recordings, and and then I'll buy a new phone. Like the new Samsung or whatever for my regular phone. And then I'll just use these that for recording. That's it. Um, it's getting so clogged up with all kinds of apps and stuff like that I'm going to end up paring it down to where that it has way more storage capacity and stuff like that. But anyway, so my Meta glasses, the battery lasts, and it's no joke. You get regular lenses in them, and so I had my long distance vision fixed a few years ago. They literally cut into my eyes, which is a trip, by the way. Um, I've done some scary ass shit, but that one was scary because you're awake the whole time for it. But they give you the right dope, so you feel good while you're doing it, and you're not scared at all. But before that, it was a whole another thing. Anyway, so they replaced the lenses in my eyes, and so my far off vision was fixed permanently. Um, when I turned 42, which I'm now 57, but when I turned 42, I started having to use cheaters, to be, because I, for whatever reason, I couldn't see well up front. And I guess that's pretty common. All my friends around that age started having to get bifocals. And so, but I have an added issue with that one of my eyes is kind of drastically different than the other one. Um, I boxed in my 20s, and most people are right-handed, and so pow, I kept on getting hit in that eye, and over time it actually damaged my eye, and I didn't know about it for 20 years after that, but over time that eye is much worse than the other one. So even with the surgery to repair it and stuff like that, my vision far off and stuff like that, or even up close with that eye, is different than the other eye. So buying cheaters in the store, that sucks because they're the exact same lens on both sides, and nobody makes a cheaters, the cheap ones that you can buy with two different lenses. So when I was just dealing with it. I was using the cheapy glasses, and in one eye I basically couldn't see shit, and then the other eye, so I was looking at everything like a pirate. But I always say at least my shooting eye is a good one, which makes sense to some people. But when they fix the long distance vision, it's not perfect because of that one thing, but it's better than it's ever been in my entire life. And but I had to choose. It was a sacrifice. They said, "Would you like to see well far off or up close?" And apparently, men always choose far off. Apparently, according to my doctor, and which is what I wanted. So but I suddenly saw like an eagle, which was awesome, But having glasses is still a good thing, because even though I could see really well far off, I could do that with one eye, and the other eye saw a lot better than it had been far off, but it wasn't perfect by any means. So having glasses to correct that vision, that's what glasses do, is correct your vision. Then suddenly I could see out of both eyes really well, which is awesome. Modern, glasses technology, I guess. And at the same time, I got bifocals, but without the little line kind of a thing. And so with the same glasses, I know this is a big invention. It only happened probably 200 years ago or something, I don't know. But with the same glasses, I can actually see everything I want to see, far off, up close, and one lens is different size than the other. That was the biggest reason I really wanted to have glasses. And then the Meta glasses are, you have AI in your ear all the time, basically. It's not 100% perfect. It's gonna come a long way when AI gets better. But I highly recommend anybody that drives for a living, because you can't talk on your phone and things like that, and check your, you can't be distracted. You can't be checking your phone and checking your whatever. So the Meta glasses work that way. The only thing is, the battery's only good for about 6 or 7 hours. And so I bought 2 pair, and they're $400 a piece. But I bought 2 pairs so that I could, the cases that they come in look like this. But they have a battery in the case, and you can see a little light on the front. So and underneath you plug in just like you plug in your phone, you plug in the case with the glasses in there, and it charges that. But you can take a pair of dead glasses and put them in their case, and it'll charge them up. But then there won't be anything left in the case, battery. But the idea is after 6 hours, it'll start telling me that my battery's getting low. It's like 15% or something like that. And so then I just switch them out. Then I have them the rest of my day that I'm awake, for that matter. And you can swap them out like that. And so the glasses are, I have 2 identical pairs. They switch out easy. And when I put one away and then I pick up the next one, it says, oh, your battery's 100%. But everything, it's all tied together through my phone. You downloaded the Meta app, and it's all tied together that way. And it's way handier. So the idea is I can take pictures. You just go like this and I take a picture, or there's a little button right there, or I can hold the button down for a couple seconds and it'll start a video, and the video lasts for, 30 seconds or something like that, or a minute or something like that. So it's way handier than having to reach your phone and get to that program in your phone and all that kind of stuff. So it's just much easier. And it records it directly to the Meta app, the Meta AI app. The app's already on your phone, and if you then want to transfer that stuff to your phone, or if you want to put it on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, you just literally go from there to post them or whatever. That entire technology is kind of in its infancy still. There's glasses. Mine are the Gen 4, I think. And there's another Gen. There was a Gen coming out right after that, but it was a difference of $400 a piece or $700 a piece. And so I said, no, I don't need it. I don't like the newest thing. I never liked the newest thing because there's always bugs they got to work out of it and stuff. And I don't want to be somebody's, guinea pig while I had to pay a whole lot of extra money to be that. So anyway, yeah, the Meta glasses are great for people that drive for a living. So if you're considering trucking, or if you're a bus driver, even anything like that, I highly recommend Meta glasses. And so I did make and I think I said this in the last video, but I did make a doctor's appointment down. I couldn't make one with my regular doctor in Iowa. So I had to make one with my a doctor that would be qualified to deal with this stuff in Baton Rouge, where I'm at. And so I made a doctor's appointment for basically a physical, and at the same time, I'm gonna get him to prescribe for me that methylene blue, and with the hope that because it's still kind of experimental as far as what all it does for the brain, but my hope is that it will fix the lesion that MS caused. So not only has my MS stopped now, and it's been stopped for over a year. Well, like 4 years, 5 years. But according to them, the damage of that lesion basically is a dead spot in my brain. It's a spot where all the wiring that runs through it, all the nerves, has no insulation on those nerves. The myelin, it's what it's called, is the insulation that's around the word nerves. So imagine wires with the insulation around them, so that when they touch each other, they can't just short out. Well, your body's own immune system, and this is what MS is. Your body's own immune system attacks the nerves in your body, and it's with the sole purpose of, for whatever reason, your body doesn't recognize it's a fatty tissue that's around each nerve. It's insulation. It's called myelin, and so technically, what I have is not MS. But the doctors all told me to say, I can say MS, because nobody's going to have any idea what demyelinating disease is. But MS goes further, does more damage, and where I have a small lesion the size of a peanut shell. If you look at a peanut shell, MS continues, and it can become much more of a thing, And that's why everybody that you see has all those physical issues. It's because wires are cross-firing on each other, shorting out on each other in the brain, thereby not delivering the information necessary on all those billions of wires in your brain if they run through that spot. So my hope is with the myelin, or what is it, methylene blue, it'll repair that, because they've already been noticing, tons and tons and tons of people that I've looked up all over the place have already noticed, and their doctors are, making things and posting things to medical journals and all that. So the challenge, and I already addressed this too, but I'll just recap it. The challenge with methylene blue is that no big universities or drug companies are going to spend any real money. Universities, when they are researching stuff to discover new stuff, it's all funded by somebody. And the university almost never funds really anything. Somebody outside the university will fund a team that's in the university and that has university privileges with laboratories and stuff like that to do this study, because they want to patent a drug or a method or whatever, so that they can then charge people to use it. Methylene blue's been around for over 100 years. There's no way they can patent it, so they're not willing to. Nobody's interested in spending any money on it, and so we hear about it all we want to, but because of greedy fucking rich people, they're it might be a wonder drug, but nobody's going to really put any time into discovering what it is. Individual doctors that actually have a soul are, with the help of patients that want a chance at recovery, like MS people. There's no recovery for that. There's no way to regenerate and fix your brain when it's gone, when it's had these problems. People with brain injuries, there's no way to get that to really heal. And it's way different than everything else in your body that way. But myelin blue may be the next trick, and I'm going to be one of the many people that are happy as a clam to have it done on me, used on me, and then I'll report back to whoever about how it's going. But I still have to pay for it. I pay for the doctor to find a doctor that will actually prescribe it for me and stuff. I found where I'm going to get it. It's a pharmaceutical company. But I looked first on Amazon and stuff like that, as I mentioned, and you can buy methylene blue and from tons of different supplement companies. The problem with that is that the company that I researched here for for the pharmaceuticals, even though they might say on some of these things USP, meaning that it's good for using as medicine, that pharmaceutical company, when they order methylene blue to then convert it to be pure enough to be used in people, 2 out of every 3 batches is polluted with heavy metals, mercury, lead, stuff like that. and it's not usable. So they have to basically then sell that back to the market for people that are going to use it for things that are not in people. I mean, it originally was a dye that would be used for clothing and stuff like that. They only started using it in people because it was a good tracer dye. Like when they repair somebody's bladder or the stomach or something like that, they could see if they, if there's still a leak, which is, it's almost like, fixing the hull of a boat, and you want to make sure it's not leaking. Well, they would see a dye coming out from somewhere, and they're like, oh, we must have missed a spot. And they would go fix it. And then they found out, of course, later that, hey, that tracer dye we were using, this person's got all these good things happening for him, and they narrowed it down, and found out it was the dye they were using. So it turns out to be a wonder drug. But that's really as far as it's gotten. And people have been using it for decades, and it's almost hippie medicine in the way that some doctors are willing to use it. Some doctors are like, well, there's no big science in it. It's not worth any money to me. I'm not getting kickbacks from Lilly or whoever. And so they don't, some people don't prescribe it. There's zero advertising for it because there's no money in it. And the medical system that we currently live with, in America at least, is designed to keep you sick, period. If they cure you without a bunch of medical intervention, without, chemotherapy hurts people. I mean, yeah, sure, it's designed, it kills the cancer, but it really fucks you up, okay? And so they've got a never-ending customer after that. No matter what you had going on, the first time you ever got, I have a cousin that the first time he ever got sick, he never had a cold, he never had the flu, not once, never. And he was in his 60s when this happened to him, that he suddenly got cancer. That's bad luck. And it killed him, but the idea is the medical system, if they could tell you, this special diet you could go on and stuff like this, and you obeyed them and took it seriously and took your health seriously, and you made life changes. And if it fixed you, that's awesome. That doctor's happy in a lot of ways, but at the same time, he didn't make any money off you, because him telling you that, that was like an exam. So $180 or $200 or whatever it was. And doctors don't like $200. They like $200,000. You can't buy a Porsche for $200. There's no payments that are like that. That's Ford money, not Porsche money. So some of them still have a heart and a soul. So I found out about this, and I cleared it up a little bit. But that guy that I follow practically religiously, and for me that's a big deal, because I'm not a religious guy these days, is Chase Hughes. Start looking up Chase Hughes. If you're interested in self-education and finding out more stuff, go to YouTube. And there's lots of neat stuff on YouTube. There's lots of bogus stuff on YouTube. You got to watch out, obviously. A lot of the stuff you see is AI. And I can always tell when it's AI. There's certain things to look for. So, and the really smart computer people that are making that stuff, they're probably trying to fix that. But the algorithm that human beings live on and operate with are much more complex than what AI is currently generating. And that's all I've got to say about that. Like Forrest Gump says. And so I'm really prepping for this trucker thing. The name of this channel is Still Working It Out. And then there's a second part to it that I just added today at the behest of AI. And it's called Still Working It Out, Life on the Road. It's Still Working It Out, Life on the Road. And because my next 5 years, solid 5 years, is going to be over the road trucking. Karen's, my contact with my wife is going to be almost completely on the phone, like FaceTiming and all stuff like that, because my next 5 years is going to be about stacking money. And I have an investment account with Fidelity, and it'll just be direct deposited to Fidelity. I'll keep out 35%, and Karen will get a portion of it. I'll get a portion of it, and the rest will go to Fidelity, and they'll invest it and make somewhere around 7 or 8%, which is a good percentage for a low risk account. There's no such thing as a no risk unless you want to invest in Coca-Cola and people like that. But they come with a smaller percentage. So I'm going with low risk stuff, not no risk. And it's entirely possible to lose that. Say if the next Wall Street crash that comes along, Trump would love that, I guess. But we'll see. Hopefully the rest of us will figure out a way not to let him do that. But that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. So I started a first business. I got to a place and realized I needed to fund it. I needed to fund the marketing. It's at least $800 a month. So I started a second business to fund the first business, and it sounds like one of those childhood songs, about the goat that swallowed the, frog. I don't know, some kind of song like that. Anyway, and in the consultancy, again, nailed it all out. Great plan. Everything works in it and stuff like that. The issue is that LinkedIn is, I just don't have the time to invest in the LinkedIn advertising. And so if either one of those, if I'm gonna have those work, and I'm gonna probably choose to have one work, and because one of them is going to be pretty time consuming, but I've got to be able to make the money to be able to get that started. And so I was trying to start the business on what's called a shoestring budget, meaning my own money that I'm generating and stuff, which is very little and by comparison to what's needed. Now, I don't have to hire a bunch of experts. I just went through 6 years of school for this, and got some really great advice on top of that, and was able to do almost everything except the digital marketing. That's a whole nother level of expertise and time consuming stuff. They use an AI that I don't have, that program. I'd have to write software. So the $800 is well worth it, for them to do the marketing and to do scheduling, which in my business is going to be really heavy scheduling needed. So, and it's a business that will grow naturally and rapidly, as long as the marketing continues to be there and the digital scheduling continues to be there properly and stuff. Hi, Ginger Billy. Ginger Billy, he's a rabble rouser. He's all about shenanigans, this kid. So that's why I'm doing trucking. I drove a bus while I was in college and part-time, and so I have a commercial driver's license. And in 2010, I got a Class A CDL, and when I switched from one state to another state, I needed to get a new driver's license, which you always have to do to get an in-state driver's license. And I got up to the front of the line, and they said, this is a commercial driver's license. I said, yeah. And they're like, well, you need to have a commercial a DOT physical. Do you have that? And I'm like, no. And so I thought to myself, I can totally do this on another day. I gotta pay for a physical out of my own pocket at the time because I didn't have insurance, because I didn't have a job. And so I said, I'm never gonna want to drive a truck again, so I dropped it, and that was foolish. If I had a nickel for every foolish thing I ever did, I'd be rich. Wouldn't have to work anymore. But so now I'm back in a trucking school right now to get my Class A back. I have a Class B right now, which means fixed vehicle. It doesn't have a trailer behind it, which is a semi and a trailer and stuff. So as soon as I graduate from this school in a couple months, then I'll start working for Prime. I already have it lined up with them, and I'll be over the road, meaning that I'm hoping to be in pretty much all the western states, on the western side of the Mississippi River for the most part. I don't dislike the eastern side, but I don't want to spend any real time there. It's too crowded, too many cars. It's a pain in the ass, and I don't need it. And so, the deep, dark South, Mississippi, Alabama, even Louisiana, and, Florida and stuff like that. I don't like the weather. I don't much like the weather up north though during the wintertime. I was raised real spoiled, on the West Coast where the weather just didn't fluctuate that much. It rained all the time, but it didn't fluctuate. And the thing about the raining all the time, if you like green, if you like trees, grass, bushes, and all that kind of stuff, it has to get watered. That's just the way it is. So it's a trade-off. I don't like deserts. They don't rain a lot. If I really hated the rain, I guess I'd live in a desert, but I don't hate the rain. In fact, I actually kind of like it. But I was raised in Oregon, which makes sense. So I'm going to drive the Western states for I'm at least 6 months. I'm going to drive as a company driver, and if I decide at that time that it might behoove me to do a lease option, because I don't want to own a truck. I want to have the same truck every day. I don't want to own a truck though. So the thing that a lease op does is it makes it to where after 3 or 4 years I can turn it back in, and then get a different truck to do another lease op on. Now you have to pay with a lease op. You have a lot more responsibility. You have to pay for all the maintenance and all the fuel and all that kind of stuff, but you get a lot more money from each load. The problem is though, when you're lease opping from companies like Prime, it is not your truck. It's their truck. You're renting it basically from them. With the difference between a rental and a lease op is a lease op, you're getting the opportunity to buy it if you want at the end of your lease. And you can just pay it off that way. I just don't want it. It's an albatross. I don't want an anchor hanging from me for the rest of, until you can sell your truck. And the way things are changing in trucking right now with self-driving vehicles and everything, California eventually is going to make it to where the entire state can't be anything but battery operated, electric vehicle semis or whatever. I do not want to have a vehicle that is obsolete 5 years after I get it, So I don't know. One is a lot less of a headache, but it's less money. The other one is a lot more work because the whole business is yours. If you have a private business, privately owned business, you pay your own taxes, all that stuff. But I know how to do all those things. That's not a problem. The question then is, I've heard some horrible stories about some of the things that happen to lease op people. And the one that concerns me the most, and I don't work there yet, so I can say this, and I'll tell people what I've heard, is that you have to work for that company, by the way. You have to haul the freight. All the freight you haul comes from that company. You don't even get an opportunity to haul from just anybody. That they have these boards that go up, and you can just pick anybody. You always have to haul for the company that you're buying the truck from, that you're leasing the truck from. And one of the problems is you never really stop driving at that point because you've got a $1,400 a week payment on your truck. Okay. If you stop driving, you better continue to pay. You better stack that money up. If you want a 2-week vacation or something like that, you're going to have half a month's pay stacked up somewhere enough so that you can take that vacation, not just so that you can go on it, but so that you can make that payment on that truck while you're not driving. And the dirty rumor I've heard is that say you've got a 4-year lease, you've got 3 years and 6 months behind you under your belt. Your truck's almost done with it. Some people, one guy I was reading about had 1 year left to pay off his truck, and all of a sudden the freight manager stopped sending work his way. So at that point you're like, if I'm not moving, and they'll have you sit on the side of the road, they'll have you take a load that's owned by whoever, Prime, something like that, and you're going to their DC, and you'll sit there and wait to be able to drop the trailer, or for them to live unload it type of thing. But they'll have you sit there for a week, or if they could, people will sit there for hours, but it could turn into days and week, kind of a thing. And they could make two for sure, that where you cannot pay for fuel, because you got to pay for that before you pay for anything. You got to be able to pay for tires and all that stuff, but you're not going to be able to make the truck payment. And you miss one payment, they own the truck. You could even just get fired and you just be out on your ass. Or you could do whatever, start another one again, and you have like a $5,000 down that has to go on it, and they get to keep that money and any money that you put into it. So if it weren't for that kind of stuff, I would do a lease op in a second, just because, you'd have the same truck all the time. You can customize it inside all you want. But if it's a company truck, you don't know. You can't customize it at all, really, because it's their vehicle. You're driving it right now, but they could say, we want it back in a week and we'll give you a different one. And then whatever you did to it is your SOL, So I'm going to do a company driving for sure for 6 months. I would never accept anybody to force me to train people. Training people can really suck. When I get in a truck with somebody, they'll be lucky, because I'm not a crazy person, but there's a whole bunch of people that are really unlucky when it comes to that. If you're training all the time, you're always rolling the dice on your next person being a weirdo, or being a smoker, or all the different things. And you're stuck with them until they're done, and so they might be a loon, that just is just irritating you. You're just trying to think about clawing your eyes out or pulling all your hair out or something like that. And too bad, so sad. And I could definitely see how being a company driver, that part could suck if they forced you to train people. They try to incentivize you to train people by paying you a little extra money per mile, kind of a thing. But if they had a shortage of trainers or whatever, they could make you do it easy as pie. So we'll see what happens. But my preference would be to lease a truck after the 6 months, once I got used to how they run and the amount of money is predictable and stuff like that. But yeah. So anyway, that's my post for the moment, and I might make one a little bit to post again too. It's been 32 minutes, so I'm getting better, guys. Anybody that's ever watched my channel, I am getting better. You guys have a good one. I love you guys. Take it easy. Don't give up. No matter what you do, don't give up.